Good afternoon. Pastor Mike, Ascension Lutheran Church, Wichita, Kansas. Last week, my devotion focused on the quote St. Paul pulled from Malachi chapter 1 in reference to God's inscrutable sovereign will, Romans 9:14. Jacob have I loved, but Esau I have hated. If you missed last week's devotion and are curious about this phrase, you can find it on YouTube under Ascension Lutheran Church, Wichita, Kansas. There's another verse, though, in Romans 9 that every time I read it or I hear it read, it sends chills down my spine. Romans 9:20. But before we get to that verse, I want to ask you a question. Do you know what the word ominous means? I like that fancy word. Well, I like a lot of fancy words, but that's besides the point. I occasionally hear this word on television used mostly during severe weather broadcasts, like Colwich and Mays, you have an ominous looking shelf cloud bearing down on you. Be prepared for straight line winds in excess of 60 miles an hour and for large hail. Sometimes economists will report that there are ominous signs of an impending economic slowdown. Be prepared for layoffs, rising unemployment, and a bear market. Figure out what the word ominous means by its usage in these sentences. It means giving the impression that something bad is about to happen. Synonyms are words like threatening, foreboding, menacing, impending doom. This is the feeling I get every time I read or hear Paul's words in Romans 9:20. But who are you, O man, to talk back to God? Yikes! These words come as Paul is talking about the sovereign will of God in regards to people questioning the wisdom of God. By these words, Paul is saying, God is the Almighty Creator. How dare you question Him? He does not answer to you. He created you. He doesn't have to explain His decisions to you as if you deserve or are owed an explanation. He doesn't have to justify His choices as if you are a judge of Him. Do you explain all your decisions to your children? Sometimes you might explain them as if you are in the teaching mode, but sometimes parents just say, because I said so, meaning I have the power and the authority to make this decision. I know more than you. I have experienced more than you. Just trust me, even though you may not like it. To express the audacity inherent in the creature questioning the Creator, Paul says, does the molded have the right to say to the molder, why have you made me this way? Does the pot say to the potter, I don't like the way you made me? So often in the midst of troubling times, which are often the result of our own poor decisions, we want to blame God, like Adam blamed God when asking about eating the forbidden fruit. It was the woman that you, God, gave me. She deceived me. When we experience troubles that result from things out of our control, a rampant virus, a car accident not our fault, a weather disaster, we tend to question God. You could have stopped this, God. You could have prevented it from happening. Why didn't you? There is a kernel of truth here. God does have the power to stop or prevent things. But what we're really demanding is that God explain Himself. Justify Himself to us. Make us privy to His inside knowledge. Give us the reason these things are happening. At those times, we need to hear, who are you, O man, to talk back to God? God does not have to answer us. He owes us no explanation. He is almighty. His superior intelligence, of which we get a little hint of by looking at the meticulous, intricate, and wondrous design of the universe, is beyond our limited human understanding. God stands at the end of time and watches history unfold before Him, altering it when and where He wishes, or choosing to use it just as it is unfolding. He knows what is in your future. You do not. You are wise. You are not wiser than God. Yet, when you hear those ominous words that send shivers down your spine, remember God's promises. God has answered your question, why, if you're willing to accept it. This rebuke about questioning the sovereign decisions of God only comes after Paul has already written in chapter 8. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Why? Because God knows the good He has planned for you. The troubles we experience may seem ominous to us, but God has a purpose, and can even use the bad things that happen in our lives for good. Just like He used the selling of Joseph into slavery in Egypt for the saving of God's chosen people from starvation. God is molding you into the vessel He desires, and what God makes is always a treasure. You are God's treasure. He will not abandon you or forsake you. When the temptation comes to blame God for your problems, it may be well to remember those ominous words, but who are you, oh man, to talk back to God? But don't stop there. Then pray, God, give me the strength to be the person you intend me to be, so that your will and your grace may be manifest through me. Have a blessed day.